This is Betty Traciak with a video tutorial for the stack and whack quilting technique that I've used to make a card set. This is a technique that I actually used when I was quilting quite a bit and have adapted this for paper. For this technique, you need 5 pieces of designer series paper that are cut 3 3/4 by 5 inches. For these, I looked for papers that I thought would look nice as a quilt patterns, and if you have something that is directional, if it has an up and a down, make sure that you're paying attention to that as you're cutting these. So for each of these, I cut these so that they are in the portrait direction, because that's how they're going to be on my card. At this point in my recording, I accidentally hit the time lapse, so this next portion is going to be a little bit jumpy. Bring in a heavy-duty trimmer, and then with the 5 pieces of paper all in the upright position, stack those tightly together. Insert into the trimmer and cut a wedge off. Make sure you keep each of those little stacks of paper in the order in which they were. Rotate, slice again, continue around until you have cut 5 sections. Keeping the 5 stacks in order, put them back together as they were before they were cut. Then pick up one of the stacks and rotate the top piece to the bottom. Pick up the second stack and rotate 2 pieces. On the third stack, rotate 3 pieces. On the fourth stack, 4 pieces. And on the fifth, leave it as it is. Then take 5 pieces of 3 3/4 by 5 inch pieces of paper, and taking the top layer of each stack, assemble one of the cards. Then taking the second layer of the stack, assemble the second card, the third layer for the third card, and so on. Next, adhere each of the quilt pieces to the cardstock backing. Here are the 5 quilted pieces once they are assembled. When they get back together, sometimes they don't line up exactly perfectly on the edge, and what I do is put those back into the paper trimmer and just slightly trim off just a little bit to even each of those up. Once these are all assembled and trimmed, the next step is to add some stitching. I use the Stamping Right marker. I use the fine tip end and just go through and add some stitching. I use a variety of stitching, some parallel, some vertical, a little bit of zigzag. So I do that to each of those. The next step is to stamp the sentiment. I'm using a photo polymer set, so I am using a pad to stamp on. The last thing to do is to add some embellishments. I added some of the new lace doilies in the corner. These are nice because these are Whisper White on one side and Very Vanilla on the other, so that they can match. I also used the Sending Love embellishments and added a few of the Sprinkles embellishments.